Hey everybody, a few hours ago at New Zealand Nationals, a team called Hammertron, who are in black here, were playing hexagon offense and a zoney version of flexagon defense for the entire duration of their filmed game. In this video I've chopped together all of the clips of the hexagon offense and combined it with clips of the commentators talking about it. The play in this video is pretty good, but the most remarkable thing about it is the commentary. Dan Clenton has done his research and he demonstrates that he really understands hex and all its nuances. He talks about teams that are learning hex having to get over their fear of moving the disc backwards to use it effectively. He talks about defense, what they should and shouldn't do, and how they can measure their success. And he mentions that being able to play good defense against vert or horizontal stacks doesn't necessarily translate to being able to play good defense against hex. He talks about how easily soccer players can fit into the hexagon offense style and his experience as a soccer player coming in and constantly being in the way for vertical and horizontal stacks. And he even questions his own knowledge of the game and whether he'll struggle to switch to the new concepts because the traditional way that he understands the game is so ingrained that perhaps he's become a little inflexible. Hammertron's play is pretty good overall. They come out of a side stack to initiate flow a few times and then transition quickly into hex. It looks like most of the players are trying to move the disc as quickly as possible. Their shape is pretty good and they also take the deep shots when they're on. There's an amazing moment where it looks like at 13-5 down, Hammertron's opposition also start trying to play hex. Hammertron are also playing a kind of zoney version of flexagon defense. If you want to watch the full game, I've put the link in the description. This video is going to focus mostly on the offense. If you want to know more about hexagon offense, then check out the videos on felixultimate.com and also subscribe to the new subreddit called Hive Ultimate, where you can post your ideas, you can ask questions, and link to any clips that you find. I'm excited to see how Hammertron progress in the rest of the tournament. You can check out their games in the Sky Sport Next YouTube channel. It's all being produced by my friends in Ulti TV. Shout out to Mike for letting me know about this game happening. I'll let the rest of the footage play out now. Enjoy, and I'll see you again soon.
My name is Blum and I'm here with Dan Clenton to provide your commentary.
Oh, that is a speculator that Wilcock has come in and cleaned up. Daniel San running the offense.
Simone Ball with the disc on the end zone is a very scary option, straight through to Hamish Furness for the score.
This offensive set is interesting.
So this is the Hammertron Hex, prioritizing cuts towards the disc as well as away, short passes, trying to generate a bit of flow. You can see there cuts in and out and essentially just trying to make sure that that defense stays on its back foot. If a defense can't set, a defense can't do its job. And so you'll see that during this game, Hammertron probably going to be prioritizing little movements like that, just keeping the disc going. There's Manny Taiapa catching that overhead, resetting to Michael Downey, resetting to Beth Williams. Michael Downey with the disc, another overhead to Manny, and a long forehand picked up by Vaughn Wilson, who is a dangerous threat with the disc. Downey catching just short of the zone. Who is he looking for? Another over the top.
Well, it was good. It was really good until then. And then it was really bad.
Absolutely misread the way his receiver was moving. Put the disc a little bit too outside. And it went to ground, which gives Mixtape an opportunity for an offensive hold for them here.
The hex is something that I've run across before, and I did a bit of research actually before the tournament because it's gaining momentum, and hey, that looked pretty good. The Hammertron, you know, they seem to play it pretty well. I'm looking forward to seeing a little bit more of that as the game goes on.
Long shots for those deep players like Lucas Wilcock to pick up.
Yep. So Hammertron now, they're it's give and go. It's hard.
It's up, and Tim with a read. Tim just working the disc backwards and forwards towards each other until that opens up, and then they can send the comfortable long shot to get reeled in for a nice offensive hold for their third point of the game. And a quick pass backwards, looking to swing out this side, back to Michael Downey, back to Manny. Low shot to Andrew Johnson.
This hex is looking real good. Something that a lot of teams struggle with when playing hex is the flow. Felix Shardlow from the UK is a very big proponent of it, has done a lot of work analysing different hex offences and what works well and what works doesn't.
I think the key is that there needs to be a pretty significant mind shift to play this style of Ultimate over something like your traditional horizontal or vertical stacks. You need to remove for yourself the fear of going backwards, which I think a lot of teams struggle with, particularly in those more traditional offenses. Quite often, particularly when you're playing something very flow-based, the ability to move the disc backwards quite often opens things up for you, which you can see Hammertron putting on fine display here. Lots of movements back and forth across the field. Block, beautiful block.
Back to the hex.
Taiapa going up to keep that one alive. Back to Kelly Carter. Swing to the far side. Andrew Johnson with a very long forehand, but he goes. What?
He's dropped it, but I can't believe he got there to begin with. Just comes in.
Taiapa. Carter looked off to Michael Downey, looking up the line, but that's covered. Taiapa again, back to Downey, across in the center. Long shots going up to Smith for the grab.
The mixtape defense has no idea what's going on. They are confused. They clearly haven't played much against the hex. In my experience, when I've watched the hex, it's either been a combination of smart poaching and switching to slow the flow, is what has worked on defense, or just some of the gnarliest shutout match defense you could ever imagine.
Meant that it went too long with nobody near it. Hammertron to take the disc now. Kieran McDonald to pick up a first reset, looking for Emma Taylor. For Lucas Wilcock, first look is always upfield, especially when there's Simone ball on the field. Simone Tataki, one of the Hammertron veterans. Far sideline, Kieran McDonald again. There's a lot of pressure on their defense.
But they're not managing to stop the flow. Hammertron is still finding a throw, stall 2 or 3. It's now when, stall 4 or 5, that's where the mixtape defense needs to get to.
One of the priorities with this Hammertron offense is to try and never let the stall count hit higher than 3. The idea is the disc should be leaving your hand almost as soon as it enters it. And they're putting together a really nice string of passes and opening up that mixtape defense. Mixtape are trying to put a bit of a zone look on. Using some clever poaching. But that's Lehigh to run through, keep that toe in the zone for a score. Hammertron go up by 1.
And this is one of the conceptual shifts as well. When you look at a lot of Western defenses, it's route 1, it's 1 or 2 passes, look to score, that kind of idea. And associated with those offenses, if you make the offense throw, 10, 12, 15 passes, that's good. The defense is winning. Not in the hex. When you're playing in the hex, it's not so much that they've thrown 20 or 30 passes, because that's kind of what it does. That's the idea of that offense. It needs to be the pace of pass. So the passes, instead of on stall, 1 or 2, you need to slow those passes down. And if they're throwing slower passes, that's when the defense is winning. This is the kind of game that, if you're playing on mixtape, it'd be very easy to get frustrated, because it'd be weird. Everything that you've learned and everything that you've played over the last, decade, all of a sudden it's not how it is. Like, what happened here? And why are we back to that stage where you feel like you're lost on the field? They are going to work this one in.
And a clean point from mixtape, using those exact same fundamentals that Hammertron have used to great success so far. Mixtape maybe looking to swing the tide back in their favor, using lots of short controlled passes, looking for those open options early, maintaining that stall count low and keeping the defense on the back foot.
I can't help but feel like Felix Shardlow has opened Pandora's box with the hex. And I say this, as an experienced player, you get used to things being a certain way. You just kind of expect things. And I've always said, innovation is good. Right, but there was kind of an unsaid part where it's like, innovation is good provided I understand it and I can fit it in what I know about Frisbee, right? But Felix it seems like he's opened Pandora's box, because hex is completely new. It is completely different. conceptually, it's another language. It's like Sanskrit, right? We're all, you know, writing over here in English, and he's playing 4D chess. Like, it's honestly, I love it. Like, it's uncomfortable, but it's a good uncomfortable. At least as a spectator and as a fan of Ultimate, to see these innovations and these changes, and can't wait for like the Septagon offense.
Oh, it really is going to change the way the highlight reels look. It's not going to
Pentagon.
prioritize
The Pentagon offense.
Yeah, it's not going to prioritize long looks forever. We're going to see a lot more dribbling. It's going to look a little bit more like some very space-aware sports.
Well,
yeah, well, I'm wrong. Long shots are still open. As you can see, they're setting up in that hex offense again. Tucky Cookson to pick up. Back to Lucas Wilcock. Tucky in the center with the disc. He's looking upfield, having to resort to some shorter options. Emma Taylor to pick up. What a beautiful forehand she's got. Goes in a bit low.
Put the mocker on it there, bro. See, man. Oh, oh, yes. You could wrap that up and put it under the tree for Christmas. It's a gift. That is what you would send a letter to Santa for. Send me one of them, please. I have been a good boy all year, and I want more throws like that. I'm impressed by Hammertron Prime. This hex idea is really, really working for them. They're playing well. They've got some good players. Definitely, that goes without saying. The thing that's really kind of created this lead, though, is this hex idea, because Mixtape, they're there at sea. They need a compass. They need a lighthouse. They need some point of reference to know how do they deal with this. I mean, what do they do?
You were mentioning before, Mixtape has a lot of experience, and you can spend 10, 15 years learning how to defend really well against a vert or a horror offense. You can bracket, you can set up, last back to watch those deep shots, but all of that goes out the window when that's not how your offense are playing. It's
all based conceptually on one style, or one broad style of offense, and that's vertical, space, that kind of idea. Where as the hex, it's not about vertical space, like horizontal stacks, vertical stacks. It's all about space underneath, space deep. Like, that's what it's trying to create. The hex isn't trying to create space underneath, space deep. It's creating small, isolated pockets of space
around the disc.
Around the disc.
Yeah.
And conceptually, it is different. And I can't help but wonder, as an experienced player, as a coach, if maybe, my own experience would hold me back in this example. I've played for so long in a certain system, conceptually, can I make that switch? And can I do what is required? Or is, the way I think about Frisbee, is it's so deeply ingrained that I don't have that flexibility anymore? And it's an interesting question.
Mixtape to brick the disc now. Long shot goes up.
Oh, that is a pretty
big
throw.
Chase, but Mixtape,
it's dropped. That is Ibrahim to Pooley. And Pooley that was a great card, and she'd done everything right except catch it.
Sometimes finishing it off is always the problem. Hammertron looking to re-establish that flow for themselves, making the defense work.
It's too much sag at the moment by Mixtape. They need to get closer. Playing with this much buffer, the flow is just there whenever they want it. You see it's the first option every single time.
One of the key principles that Hammertron are utilizing here is that when you're defending against something like a horror or a horizontal stack, you don't find that your cutters move all the way back in towards that, what we call the handler space. And so quite often your defenders will sag off your defenders when they move too close to someone with the disc. And Hammertron are using that. They're, I think, the best version of Ultimate. Kelly Carter to receive, to Smith, back to Carter. Johnson to Wilson. Looking for a long shot, but it gets looked off. Using those handler resets, keeping the play focused around Vaughan Wilson. Lots of short passes to and from. Those cuts making their way back, making sure that he maintains possession of the disc. Looking for an open, but it's not there. Keeps that disc moving. That Hex offense doing remarkable work. Mixtape still on the back foot. And the shot goes up to Beth Williams for the score. Beautiful put. Textbook Vaughan Wilson. As far as I'm aware, he came from a soccer background, so that sort of spatial awareness, that constant moving, dribbling, having the disc, not having the disc, having the disc again, has translated really nicely from that background. And you can see it when he puts it on display. Just every second touch of the disc is his. And
well, for the longest time, Blair, I have maintained that soccer players make the worst ultimate frisbee players for that reason, that they get in the road.
maybe
and I come from a soccer background, so when I first started playing, it was this huge shift. And I was in the road, so much so that I nearly picked up the name Pothole.
It could just be that your teams are running the wrong offense to match your style.
Maybe we need to sign up a bunch of soccer players and play Hex with them. Felix, if you're tuned in here, because he's obviously from the UK, Felix Shardlow, soccer's the thing in the UK. So
absolutely, there's enough players there who could. We teach them how to throw a forehand, it'll change the game entirely.
Side stack by Hammertron.
Looks like they're isolating their handlers. Kelly Carter up the far sideline. To Michael Downey. Back to Kelly, looking to jump in, just short. Lots of patience, short disc movement right on the corner of that end zone for Hammertron. Looking for an option. Anne-Marie McDonald with the assist to Michael Downey.
Kelly, space Kelly, more space Kelly.
Vaughan Wilson gestures in.
Kelly Carter to Maria Smith, back to Vaughan Wilson, centering that offense around Vaughan Wilson. Low release break.
It's like they're playing handball against a wall at the moment, because every time Vaughan Wilson throws it to Kelly Carter, it just comes back to him, and it's just this reliable. She can play catch all day.
I liken it to a pinball machine myself, especially when they get those strike cuts coming up the line. It's just binging back and forth between a couple of players. But like when Eliud Kipchoge broke the 2-hour barrier for the marathon, he said 100% of me is not equal to 1% of the team. And I think that's a really important mentality to take, particularly as we watch Hammertron offense. They might be centering it around one player, but it wouldn't work without the rest of the players on the team.
So in this situation, that is this side of the field, Blair. Oh, it's just a run 3D. Hard work, determination, and Hammertron are maybe announcing themselves as a potential to head through on a semi-final spot.
They're hungry for it.
Oh, McLaurin.
Beautiful take. Hammertron sending out their defense now. Mixtape with some really strong disc movement.
Look,
are they matching Hex to Hex?
they're going Hex. What has happened?
That adaptation that we talked
It's
about
like
Mixtape
swine
needing. That Mixtape needed in the first half to get back in that game. They have come out in something that resembles a Hex. Can they make the mindset shift necessary? Long shot goes up.
Is going to stick it to who else? It's Annalise Pooley.
Oh no! Heartbreak on the ultimate field. The shot was beautiful. Annalise Pooley, shins back up. She's back on defense now. Are we going to see a turn so Mixtape can bring that offense out again? Oh, it looks. Oh, Michael Downey sending it up, looking for Kelly Carter again.
Oh, nice awareness. She's been called as in. And Hammertron go back to work. Oh, Carter is just in a paddock. It works out in the end. I can't imagine that Mixtape have drilled or ran Hex at all, ever. Period. And we have just seen them try and run it on offense. It hasn't worked. And
it was bold, and ultimately...
bold move, Cotton, indeed.
But a bold play when the defense aren't expecting it is sometimes all you need to open up a game. I was really happy to see Mixtape make that attempt. Hopefully they'll come out on that again for the first of what looked to be 9 or 10 breaks for them to win the game.
We're on Sky Sport next. This isn't ESPN 8. This isn't the World Championship of Dodgeball. Covering your eyes isn't going to work out here, Cotton. If you haven't drilled it, surely you can't seriously think taking the opposition's bread and butter offense and then trying to run it yourself is going to work out. Like, you know, surely the Hammertron have been playing defense against this. So if anyone is well equipped to deal with Hex defensively, surely it's Hammertron.
It could be 2019 could be the year with this really strong Hex offense that they keep sending out. If they can keep this up for the rest of the tournament, they might see themselves in the final.
Well, if not this year, wouldn't it be nice to do it next year on your 20th anniversary year? That would be the thing of stories. Surely there would be a documentary to be made there.
A river runs through it, a story of Waikato Ultimate, maybe.
Oh, Vaughan Wilson just awkwardly went down there.
Again, as soon as he gets the disc, his foot is up. He lets go of the disc, he accelerates out of those throws.
Someone needs to run with him here from Mixtape because he's just punching holes with them through their defense with his movement. There's the throw, there's the win. We're done here. Let's go home. 15-6 against quality opposition like Mixtape that runs so deep in experience and, you know, nous when it comes to playing Ultimate. That's a really nice victory. I think that this could be a year where Hammertron go real deep in the tournament. I think that semi-finals really isn't too far for them to reach for. And, well, Mixtape, they're going to have to go back to the drawing board, maybe practice a little bit of Hex before actually playing next time.
You do have to wonder if that experience worked against them, just considering that massive mindset shift and what it would take to change your defense to really shut that Hex down. I'd love to have seen Mixtape go up against a Vert or a Horo and see that experience, that clever poaching, that really strong communication and that network of comms and teamwork that they have shut down a traditional offense. Unfortunately, with Hammertron coming out on that Hex offense, we didn't get a chance for them to showcase that today.